very much basing his thinking on John Burton, arrived at a useful model for practitioners to share with clients or to reflect on themselves. Choice is yours, and the choice is the client's. Are they interested in going there or not? Tillet found, well, the 5 Ps because he was conscious of something that was memorable. Projection, which is really what does the future look like? Pressures, what are the current pressures in the here and now, the stressors that are driving the conflict or seem to be. The participants, who are the people involved, the other people that you have not met. The problem itself, the nature of the problem might have its parts that have a history. And then the past, and we have to be cautious about that because people are often experts and have mental volumes of the past on shelf after shelf in their mind. So to tap into the past has to be done with discernment and restraint. But that said, Tillet offers a way to open up a conversation with a client. So for example, projection, the future, he looks at the focus point of the conflict. What is the focus point? What is it currently presenting? What the thing that everyone knows? Underneath that, what are the facts and the various characteristics of the conflict that again people know about, but you may not, because the focal point is maybe what brought the people to the mediation, or to you as a mediator, or to you as a conflict management for one person. So a little bit of unpicking about what else is generally known and shared around this, very much with the focus in this one, say, on the future. And then you step below the blue line, what else is happening? This might be something the client hasn't disclosed about their future. Fears of the future, for example, fear that in the future they might be ruined financially. They might lose contact with their children. They might not be able to be the parent they wanted to be. So there's an element of disclosure where the client himself or herself is well aware of other things that are driving them. And then if the client's willing, if they're brave enough to go into the unconscious, which is very interesting, and speculate with you on what might be driving all of that. What might be the fear that their child is going to lose contact, or what's that about? You know, where does that come from? Does it come from their own fear, that their own memory of that they didn't have a very solid relationship with their parents? So there can be that kind of speculation, which can be wonderful for the person because they can arrive at any kind of conclusion. And if it helps them think differently about the conflict they've got, that is very helpful indeed. So you don't mind. You're not looking for a single answer. You're looking for a process that might take people into a deeply reflective mode. If they don't want deep reflection, it might just be a discussion of the manifest things, unpicking more and more of the things about the future that are a concern. And if that doesn't work for the client, they might go to one of the other areas. Instead of projection, they might go to the pressures. In a similar way, look at the focal point, which is always the same in all of it's the same thing that's brought the client into the room. But then the pressures, what are the manifest pressures? The other things that haven't been discussed? What are the undisclosed things that might be revealed as the client comes to trust you and understand they've got 90 minutes, a couple of hours to talk about these things? And then if they're willing, what might be not so known, where the client can reflect, what is that about? What might be driving that? What is it about the pressures that I'm under? What does it relate to that I hadn't picked up in myself? Or they might go to participants who are involved. They might go to the problem itself. I don't want to diminish these later choices, but just for the sake of time, it's the same pattern of starting with the focus the focal point, the incident, and then working down to the other things that are commonly known about it, to some undisclosed things about it, to the broader issue of what might be driving the whole business. And you might be able to introduce that idea of the deep-rooted human needs and normalise those things so that people see that they're actually striving to keep their identity afloat after separation. A wonderful outcome, because that can then refresh their thinking about why they're in this tussle with a person who actually they don't really want to live with anymore. What's that about? Could it be that they're actually tussling with that need for identity? And how can that be addressed in a different way? If a person can make that breakthrough in their thinking, they're going to address the conflict they've got in a completely different, well, not completely different, but in a different way, a much more insightful way.